All right, everybody. I'm very excited, as I teased last week. We have Team Swartz on, and I teased this on the podcast last week because I do think a lot of folks out there look at social media and say it's overwhelming and I probably should get to it. And I don't really feel like you need to be introduced, but I'll give you opportunity to kind of break down your guard and social media background a little bit, just for the few people that don't know you.
Okay. So my name is Sergeant First Class Swartz. I'm with the New York Army National Guard based out of New York City. I've been recruiting. This July will make 18 years. I personally can consider myself an average recruiter who likes to create content to help as many people as possible, which is one of the main reasons why I chose to become a recruiter back in 2004. Back then, Google was like, when I first joined the military, like Google was barely 2 years old, nothing like it is today. And I felt like creating content around the types of questions that people are seeking answers to that they can find online. I think that the NationalGuard.com and the state's battalions do a really good job at gaining interest and awareness of the bigger brand, but we are the influencers who can create content and addressing, people's direct questions and going in more detail. So I use and leverage social media as a source of information for people to seek, to build an online presence, and to become a subject matter expert, or at least perceived to be the subject matter expert in our field digitally, build enough rapport and stuff so that typically what I find often happens is that people follow me for anywhere from like 6 to 12 months sometimes. And by the time they finally reach out to me, for those who are in my local area, they're already sold. They feel like they already kind of know me, and they just want to see what they're qualified for. So it's really, there's very little selling involved. So I would say back in 2015 is probably when I started to take recruiting on social media more seriously. I started a YouTube channel on Instagram around the same time. I think I did around 12 to 18 videos on YouTube and left it alone, and doubled down on Instagram, thinking that was the better bet at the time. I paid $100 then for this Instagram Impact Academy. Now she's charging like $300 for it, and I leveraged probably about over 6% of the tips that she talked about in her course. And within 6 months, I grew from 345 followers on Instagram to over 18,000. And it grew from there. And then fast forward a few years later, I found out in like 2018, 2019, somewhere around there, that most of my leads were actually coming from YouTube. And I was expressing that if people wanted to, reach out to me directly, they could reach out to me on Instagram and so on and so forth. And when I started calling everyone back that I enlisted with my efforts straight through social, they said that they were being funneled through my YouTube channel. So I, did some self-reflection and analysis. And I was like, you know what, let me focus more heavily on YouTube and take it from there. So I started a new YouTube channel, did a few things, and then I deep dived on learning the platform, kind of like how I did with Instagram, but I didn't pay for a course this time. YouTube is like university online, right? So I just researched a lot of information about how to leverage YouTube, all the best practices, this, that, whatever, to maximize my efforts. I learned about SEO, which is search engine optimization. So what I highly suggest for all recruiters, and I understand and I empathize with them because it is a lot of work. Social media and content creation is going to be a long game, not a short game. I once had a section sheet tell me, if you could work with so-and-so, do you think you can get an enlistment within the first 30 days? Is it possible? Yeah. Is it likely? No, right? This is, again, a long game. And most of us in recruiting are going to be here for the long haul, right? Over 3 years. And COVID is another way to prove my point, where we used to meet in person, right? And that would be our first impression, physically meeting each other face to face. Now, most of our first impressions are digitally online through our social or whatever platform that we're leveraging. And I feel that a lot of recruiters are not effectively using social to their maximum benefit. They regurgitate stuff from nationalguard.com or just the enlistment for the day, or, you know, random photos here and there, which is not cultivating your community, your squad, your tribe, whatever you want to call it. And you're not really inspiring, motivating, or adding any additional value to your potential viewer. And they wonder why their social is not growing, why they're not maintaining any type of presence. So my solution to that issue is to create content. And what I focused with the virtual recruiters workshop last week is creating content around addressing people's questions. So search engine optimization, the cheapest, easiest way to find out a video topic idea for YouTube would be to go on Google or YouTube search and type in National Guard, look at the suggestions. If you wanted to talk about the state tuition or something like that, add another keyword. It's called keyword or key phrase search. And Google and YouTube are going to make suggestions based on what people are already searching on those two platforms. And both of those are owned by Google. They're the two largest search engines online. And you create your video topic idea around that. And then you create your bullet points and follow the structure I discuss. And pretty much any content creator will share with you. The hook or the why they should watch your video, a very brief, less than 30-second, preferably less than 15-second intro of who you are. You add your state logo, your name and phone number on the screen. And then you go into meat and potatoes, what the video is about. And then obviously direct people in your area to you know, reach out to you if they're interested in joining. But it's a soft sell. And that's what I feel made me successful in growing my tribe. So like so many people know somebody who's joined a multi-level marketing scheme like Herbalife, Amazon, or not Amazon, Avon, and so on and so forth, where as soon as they join that company, everything that they post multiple times a day is buy my product, buy my product, buy my product. Now, for some recruiters, join the guard works for them. Like Sergeant Webb, he does a lot of hard selling, and according to him, it works well. So what I suggest may or may not work for you. His method may work for you. It depends on your personality, your presence, how you work it. But my goal is to build as many people as I can on my platform because I get referrals that way. So if you tell people to buy and not add value, you're not going to grow such a strong following. I remember at one point on Instagram, before I let off the gas pedal and took a break for a couple of years because I went through a life event, my community was so strong that when a USEREC recruiter came on there and came at me sideways, that they would attack him and I would have to slide in his DM, his direct message, and apologize to him for my followers acting that way online because, you know, he disrespected me. And like I said, I had such a strong community that they literally attacked him online. It was hilarious, but very, very interesting. And it's a huge testament on my online presence at the time on Instagram. And I'm at that point now where I have a super strong following on YouTube and it's just growing. So to take it back to what I was saying before, in summer of 2020, after I graduated from the Joe Sargent Academy, I started to take my videos more seriously. And I wanted something that was, additionally at that time, I was participating in the NGB virtual recruiting program, the first pilot program. So I wanted something where I was still doing the virtual stuff, but I wanted to create content that wasn't overwhelming because every recruiter says it, myself included. I'm just as human as everyone else. So my mindset was I'm going to create one pre-recorded video per week, one live stream per week. And, you know, I would leverage the rest of the platforms like I normally typically would. So I would break up Monday through Friday. Monday would be like research the topic idea, you know, keywords, key phrases. Tuesday, which Monday would, like, each day is about 15 minutes, give or take, right? Except for my longer form videos that are a little bit longer. But the next day, which is Tuesday, I would write up what is my hook, what is my bullet points of discussion for the video. Like I would structure the video basically. And then on Wednesday, I would record the video. Thursday, I would edit everything, add the text, the logo, and everything to the video. And Friday, I would post it. And I would do that on a weekly basis. So that way I have one pre-recorded video and I would post it every Tuesday or Wednesday, 10 a.m. And I would obviously work on the search engine optimization, make sure the keywords are good, thumbnail looks good, you know, things of that nature. Stuff that you would normally do for that unique platform, which in my case is YouTube. Then, because I didn't have such a strong following, I basically started from scratch. I rebranded my YouTube channel, started from fresh. So in the beginning, you don't have any subscribers, no followers, nobody watching. And the algorithm at that point is too early to know who you are. Even if you have good keywords and the search engine or the SEO is good, the platform doesn't know you. So it takes about ideally 25 to 50 videos before the algorithm or YouTube figures out what your niche is, which for us is military. So in the beginning, I would live stream kind of like a pre-recorded video. So I would do the same thing, keyword search, come up with a title, come up with my bullet points. And basically I would do the live stream as if it was a pre-recorded video with the rebroadcast in mind. So I would treat it like a live stream, but I would have it set up kind of like a pre-recorded video, but without the ability of editing anything. So it comes up with all the mistakes, the stuttering, the ums, the ahs, the pauses. But at least it was a searchable video, right? What is a day at MEPS like? And that would be the video topic of the day for the live stream. And I would finish off the live stream with a Q&A. In the beginning, nobody knew who I was. No one was following me. So very little traction was coming from the subscribers. But within the first 6 months, I went from like 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers to 18,000 subscribers. So by the end of the first year, I think it was like within the first year, I hit 18,000 subscribers. So I went from 2,000 to 20,000 within my first year, leveraging, like I said, that one live stream a week, one pre-recorded video on YouTube. And that's all I did for a whole year to get to that point. And
So
for the most,
I want to pause you for a second there. There's a couple of things I want to highlight that you said that maybe the recruiters that digest this won't grab onto, because you're so into it. I think the first thing that you maybe didn't really think about too much is like, what is your brand personally? Because you talk about your personality, but really honing in on what your brand is. Of course, we're representing the National Guard. That's obvious.
yeah, we're piggybacking off of the bigger brand, but we are the brand.
Yeah.
Who we are, and we are recruiters.
Yeah, and I have always believed that people join because of you.
100%.
So I think just to, stomp the foot on the ground, this is on the test type of thing, is like really thinking about what your brand is personally, because it will be much easier for you to work through what you want to say when you know what you're about, and a couple podcasts ago, I talked about really working through that. What are you passionate about? How do you want to be viewed as a person? How do you want to be viewed as a recruiter? How do you want to be viewed as a member of the Guard? All of those things, when you can answer those questions, you get a pretty good idea what your brand is. And another thing that you mentioned is I have to get to step one, right? You didn't start off with 20,000. That weekly requirement that you laid out, being consistent every week, doing it all the time. I would hate for that to just get lost in all the details that you mentioned, because I think that is a critical thing of making yourself do that every week, being consistent. So I just wanted to make sure we highlighted those couple of things. And I noticed from observing your videos is that, you're up, you're not up every day. So what is it that you do to get yourself ready to prepare that content? What kind of rehearsal are you talking about? I caught that you're planning it out, which is a big deal. But what are the other things that you do so you can execute it so it looks natural, it looks like it is more of a live stream deal? So I'd be interested in how your personal preparation for it.
For the most part, if it's something I talk about like on the regular, like if it's something simple, I pretty much for the most part, I don't rehearse it. But if it's a pre-recorded video, I sometimes obviously I've become like a perfectionist, or at least I think I am, right? So I do take multiple takes, and then I just edit the mistakes out of the pre-recorded video throughout the edit. But if it's a complicated topic, like when I was going over like Emerald or like Genesis, where a lot of things are very particular, and you got to make, because I pride myself on being as accurate as possible, and sometimes that would require me to read it, and I would just add a photo or something over top of the video as a form of a B-roll to hide the fact that I'm reading something, because it's like a long name, like what does emerald mean, and then I would read it out loud. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I don't know. Maybe it's because I've been recruiting for so long, and I've talked about it so many times. I don't have to rehearse as much. That's why I like the bullet form rather than a I forgot what it's called, like a teleprompter, reading off of a teleprompter.
Okay, yeah.
I don't want to feel like it sounds like that I'm reading something. So that's why I just do a bullet form, and I just go off the top of my head and how I would normally speak. And if I didn't like how I said it, I would restate it, and then I would just edit that part out of the mistake.
Okay.
But the biggest thing is just reviewing your bullet points and how you're going to say certain things before you start hitting record. And I think that the biggest thing that people get is paralysis by analysis, and they think that, you know, they need to be perfect, and they're afraid to hit record because it's not going to sound good. They're not going to look good. Like I double chin, right? It's all about them angles, right? You got to put the camera where it needs to go, whatever. Try to make yourself look as good as possible. But nobody really cares about what you look like. They do care about how you sound. So audio is huge, right? But the mindset that you need to have, especially when you're first starting out, is good enough is better than best. Because if you wait for your best product or your best video or what have you, you're never going to hit record. You're not going to be as consistent. You're going to make excuses, and you just have to hit record. Just hit it. And then as you go on, like I took it to the next level. Most people are not going to take it to the level that I have. And that's what I expressed during the virtual recruiting program that I taught last week. Is when I first started out, my first 3 or 4 years, everything was done on my iPhone. I recorded it with my iPhone. I edited it on my iPhone. I had a text through my iPhone. I created the thumbnail. I still to this day create my thumbnails for all my videos and social media posts through my iPhone. It's when you keep it simple like that, it makes it more manageable. Now, I'm using a professional camera, professional video editing software. I'm taking it to the next level. And when people look at my channel, I'm like, wow, he's got 35,000 subscribers. That's amazing. In my head, looking at like other content creators and stuff and influencers, I'm just barely scratching the surface, but everyone's holding me at that pedestal. And you don't need to be me. You just need to be you. Do what you can, and keeping it in smaller chunks every day, Monday through Friday, so it does not detract you from your daily grind as a normal recruiter. And as long as you break it down into short, manageable steps every single day, it makes it easier and not overwhelming and stress yourself out. In my opinion, like a lot of people are like, well, social isn't that big of a deal. Everyone's attention is already on digital platforms. We have so many people in leadership that feel that a billboard, mainstream radio and TV is still effective and has a good ROI. And I disagree, strongly disagree. Everyone's attention, my age or younger, is on their cell phone, right? Whether it's streaming on Netflix, Hulu, Spotify, music, on a digital platform, right? Everything's on the phone these days. So that's where the attention's at. Instead of going to the mall, people are online. And then I was embarrassed the summer prior to COVID, and the individual actually reached out to me after COVID hit, and they're like, we're not allowed in our schools. We're not allowed to do this. What do I do? I said, do you remember that social media class I gave you? If you had been on social or continue to be on social, you wouldn't have to worry as much. In fact, that year, that first year and second year of COVID, I went from averaging 3 or 4 enlistments per year to 12 enlistments per year through my social media efforts. And this year to date, my 12th person is enlisting this Friday as papers only. 9 of those 12 are a direct result of my social media content creation through YouTube. So for me, it's been huge, and it's not about the quality of the visual quality of the video. It's me posting content, addressing and answering people's questions and concerns. And because of my large following now on YouTube, I'm not doing a pre-recorded video like live stream. Now it's just straight up Q&A. So everything I do as a recruiter during the day, I'm doing every week like clockwork, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. every Wednesday, doing what normal recruiters do, but I'm doing it online for the entire nation or whoever tunes in. I have such a strong impact on YouTube that I'm literally inspiring and motivating people to join nationwide, from California all the way to New York, from Florida to Texas to Maine. All those people are joining because of my videos. And I don't get a credit for any of that, but it warms my heart to know that that is the reason why I started to recruit. That is why I started my platform. I never created my platform to specifically recruit. Nobody needs to do it like me. For me, I'm pro Army on my channel, as you know, right? And I share a lot of different things about active duty, reserve, and guard. Every once in a while, I'll do like a hard guard video. But for the most part, it's just me helping people make an informed decision throughout the enlistment process and to prepare themselves for basic training. And that is how I do it. But I suggest that recruiters need to do recruiting related videos and create content around those particular questions and concerns that people have through the enlistment process for the Army National Guard. They don't have to do the entire Army like I do, or the military in general. And I'm telling you, if more people like me do that as a recruiter on social, we would collectively all be helping each other out. I remember when my first sergeant had everyone in our company raise their hand, they had a direct result from my social, and over 20 hands were raised on that day. And I remember from that day forward, for a while there, I redid my intro to tell people that I am in New York City, I'm not busy, contact me if you want to join, because I was losing enlistments to other recruiters because I don't hard sell the Guard. I do say that, what I do, but I don't say to specifically contact me. And when I got off of virtual and I went back into my office, I remember Sergeant Wu, right? Awesome recruiter, phenomenal. He's going to kill it for as long as he's here, he's going to kill it. And I remember within the first 45 days of me coming back as an in-person recruiter, 3 people walked into office to sit down with him. And every single one of those 3 people that walked in that were enlisting because of my videos did not reach out to me because they thought that I was a stand-in, an actor for the Army National Guard, and I just created content for them, or I was too much of a celebrity, or I was too busy creating content instead of recruiting, which is weird. But they never reached out to me. They just assumed that I wouldn't be able to help them out. And I'm just your average recruiter.
I had a couple questions. With your followers, do you have data that tells you how many are in your area within your state? Do you have any data on that?
I'm not very good at interpreting analytics. And I do know that about 35% of I did learn this the other day, that about 35% of my viewers or subscribers are from the United States. The others are from other countries. Okay. Now, specifically to who's from New York, I guess I would have to research that and find out what the analytics say about that. I know Instagram, it does that, but I haven't looked at it in a while.
Well, the reason why I asked that question is something that I encourage recruiters to do is think about their battle space, the zip codes assigned to them as the start point for their social media. start collecting eyeballs within those zip codes, and you can see real impact at that time. Make your platform selection based on the data that's available at who's on that platform. If I want parents and teachers and administrators, I'm probably on Facebook. If I'm looking for joining age population or clubs, group activities, and sports, it's probably Instagram. The male YouTube is very heavy male, so making those decisions and not thinking I gotta be like you and have, I'm going to start off and I'm going to get 20,000 or 40,000. If you were just getting going and you had 100 of the right eyeballs on the right platform, they would be seeing your content, sharing your content, and then you would organically grow in your area. And that's where a lot of people maybe give you the response is like, prove it to me, but you already answered that question. 9 of your 12 enlistments this year are from social media activity. And it's interesting to me because I've come across the 2 classes of recruiters. The high-speed recruiter that is getting it done, like Sergeant Wu, like you mentioned, that's not doing a ton on social media. And the recruiter that is total true believer in social media and is getting the majority of their enlistments from social media, still doing the other recruiting activities. So that brings up an interesting dichotomy. It's not one or the other.
No, it's just an additional tool in the toolbox. That's it.
Yeah. It's and, right? You know, because you're still trying to get into schools, right? And you're still trying to do school presentations. You're still doing the traditional recruiting activity.
Currently, since I've been back, I don't have any high schools. I have one college, and it's a private college or university. NYU is the only university that I have.
Okay. So with the time that we have left, I would like to, to just pick your brain and give you the ability to talk to that recruiter that hasn't done anything, that has continually said to themselves, well, I know I should, but. So what's, 1, 2, or 3 things that they could do just to get going and kind of the measure of success that you would say, well, you're moving in the right direction on those areas?
Photos are dead. It's all about video, live streaming. That's where the platforms are looking at. So for the most part, if they don't want to create YouTube videos, which is what I highly suggest, definitely do videos. So if you're on Instagram Reels, you're going to get more bang for your buck on Reels, leveraging Reels. Before TikTok went away, TikTok and Reels were the top 2, but now we can't be on TikTok. So I showed in my class that I posted a video on Reels and I posted a story. A story got less than 300 views and my Reels was just under 7,000 views. So that's a huge testament of where the attention is at, and obviously a clear indication that Instagram is pushing Reels more than stories. But again, you can post photos, but video is where it's at. And you got to think of WIFM, right? So anything that you post online, you got to think of what WIFM means to the person. So WIFM means what's in it for me, right? So anything you post has to add value. I would steer clear of hard selling and just add value. And you could add value. It doesn't have to be a long drawn out video like I do that's highly detailed. Just take a few minutes, talk about a particular topic, and create a video on that. Like I said, once a week, that's where you're going to get your biggest bang for your buck. But whatever platform that resonates the most with the individual recruiter is they need to watch YouTube videos and how to maximize that platform for their efforts. Learn the ins, the outs, everything that's going to impact them, and double down on that platform. Like I said, I suggest YouTube, but to each its own. And a lot of people, they don't want to be on screen. So I taught how to do video podcasts where your face is being shown. I showed how you can do a podcast through your phone through an app called Anchor. Super simple, like stupid simple. And you're creating content that way, and it will resonate with people. It's going to be slow at first, but consistency every week is what's gonna, eventually give you that ROI that you're looking for. The more effort you put into it, the more you get out of it. I don't think that social media is the end all be all. I think that it's more important than most leadership feel that it is. But you still have to do your normal daily grind as a normal in-person recruiter. This is just an additional tool in the toolbox. But like for the last 5 or 6 years or whatever, social is what made me get my RCOM for the state of New York. So in the New York Army National Guard, if you over mission by 3 or more, you would get an RCOM. And because of my social at that time, averaging 3 or 4 enlistments per year, as a normal in-person recruiter, do normal efforts, I would make my mission of 16, and my social is what pushes me over that threshold to get that AM or RCOM. And if I didn't have social, I would have just been that average recruiter. But because of my social, I became that exceptional recruiter.
Well, and something that you mentioned, I think it's that little bit extra. And I look at it like we could talk about prospecting versus promotion, right? But this promotion 15, 20 years ago, none of these platforms existed, and only the traditional media was the avenue of promotion. You can promote yourself every day now, and it's basically free.
And it costs you $0.
Yeah, so that, I think that part of your philosophy is kind of missed by a lot of organizations for sure. I'm also curious, you talked about that class down at PAC. When are we?
What? I didn't get you.
What's that?
I didn't hear you because it was broken up a little bit.
Okay, you talked about that class that you did down at the Professional Education Center. Is there going to be something that is distributed to states, or how can recruiters get access to that?
So the class that myself and Sergeant Baruha from the New Jersey National Guard created in November, I talked to the virtual recruiters last week, and that was like 4 or 5 days of very dense, a lot of information jam-packed in those 4 or 5 days. But from what Callie from SMTC, well, formerly SMTC, now SMTB, stated to me is, once it, like right now they're basically taking 3 hours worth of content that we created for the virtual recruiters that are going to be integrated into future 79 Tango courses. While Sergeant Ruha and I were in November, after we created a classwork bullet points so they can make into slides, we did a recording of each class, bouncing off of each other, talking about those particular topics. And once it goes through the process of making sure that they can post it, I guess it goes through legal or whatever. I'm not really privy to all that stuff, but once it gets approved, the intent is to create a recruiter toolbox that any recruiter nationwide can tap into to watch and learn more about that particular topic that we covered for the virtual recruiters on content creation and best practices on social. They can, once that's posted, they can do that. So those are the 2 things that they're looking at: adding 3 hours worth of classes into the 79 Tango course, and then uploading those videos onto the recruiter toolbox.
Well, we don't have too much time left, but I'm just curious about this. You've been recruiting for, I think you said 18 years?
In July, it will be 18, so over
18.
17.
And so you got a few more years left. What do you plan to do with what you've learned using social media platforms as a recruiter? You're not going to recruit forever. Where do you plan to take this?
So my intent right now is I'm actually taking classes online part-time through Post to get a degree in communications and media. And my intent at this point is to expand on my YouTube channel once I retire, when I have a lot more flexibility on certain things. But I'm going to continue to create content around the Army, and that's going to be my side hustle that may turn into a primary hustle when I retire. But I'm going to still indirectly recruit for the organization through my channel and my content when I retire.
Well, to me, the reason why I asked that question is it's like, well, I'm going to do this, but it's never going to, then I'm going to walk away from recruiting, so it doesn't matter. I think once you get good at something like this, it's going to apply to many, many job fields. It's an asset that a lot of companies would appreciate, and there's that avenue that you can just do your own thing. There's plenty of people that make all of their living being an influencer or just putting videos out there, instructional type things, doing virtual instruction. So there's more to it than just what you're going to use it for in recruiting, I guess is my point. So
yeah.
Kind of last thing is we got about 6 months left in the year, and for the most part around the country, people are working from behind. And so what would your advice be to recruiters out there to leverage social media with traditional recruiting to get themselves back on track to finish that mission for the year?
The first thing I would suggest to a recruiter that's maybe behind mission at this time is to really think about what it is that they're doing and not doing. Because many of us think that we're working because we're at the office for 12 hours of the day, but of that 12 hours, how much of that is actually productivity? And like, I'm guilty of that when I first started recruiting, and from time to time I get complacent, right? So you really have to think about what actions are you taking on a daily basis that's going to get you to where you want to be. And sometimes we get discouraged, we get possibly disgruntled or frustrated with the process, with, you know, dealing with MRO, Genesis, and so on and so forth. We can make excuses all day. You have to be flexible and adaptive to the environment that we're in. Control the things that you can control, which are your actions and everything you do on a daily grind. And it does you no good to blame anyone else or anything else. You can't get mad at the results that you get from the stuff that you do or don't do. So if you're not putting in the effort, you're not putting in the work every day, like honest effort, like, let's be real, even struggling recruiters are putting 100% effort into what they're doing every single day, right? So you have to know, like, take a step back and evaluate yourself. What are your weaknesses? What are your strengths? Double down on your strengths and continue to work on your weaknesses. And if social is one of your weaknesses, I already just explained to everyone that breaking it down into small, manageable steps every day for 15 minutes a day is not going to put a dent on any one of your efforts as you're in your day-to-day grind as a recruiter. Again, it is just an additional tool. It is going to be a long game, but the proof is in the pudding. I create one piece of content per week that requires real effort. Live streaming, in my opinion, does not require a lot of effort. It's just setting up the camera and taking it from there. And diversify your live streams. So I use StreamYard to stream on Facebook and YouTube simultaneously. So if you already have a strong Facebook page, you can link your Facebook and your YouTube on StreamYard, and you can stream to both of them and grow your audience that way. Instagram requires you to do a separate live through your phone. You can't use it on StreamYard or any other device at this time, but you could do 2 live streams per week, one on Instagram and one on Facebook and or YouTube. Like, there's so many different things that you could do. And then when you're at MEPS outside, waiting for your applicant to get done testing, you're prospecting on Instagram, right? You're leveraging the hashtags. You go to your schools. Like I spoke with the virtual recruiters. You go to your school, you go to the people that are following on that page. You obviously, they're either a student, a prior student, or faculty, because no one's going to follow a school just because, unless they're a pedophile or something crazy, right? So you go there, you go on their page, you like about 5 to 8 tasteful photos, and you make 1 to 3 tasteful comments that are genuine, not cookie cutter or generic, right? And that's going to send 8 to 11 or so notifications to that individual. That's going to spark curiosity. Who is this that's giving me all these notifications. They're then going to go to your platform to look at the content that you're posting. They're going to see that you are a recruiter. And if you have value on your page, and if they've ever thought about joining the military, they may monitor you for a while, right? And eventually reach out to you, or at least the seed is planted. I would suggest that you follow them too, because they're at your school that you're assigned to. If they follow you back, great. If they follow you back, you're going to slide into their DM, and all you're going to say is, thank you so much for the follow. If you need anything, just let me know, and leave it at that. You're not going to be like, hey, have you ever thought about joining the Guard? No, that's a hard sell. We're soft selling now. Let them warm up to you. You plant the seed, and now it's your turn to water it. And if you add value to your content on a daily basis, hopefully, if they have any interest of learning more about you, or know Johnny Snotnose from down the block that's looking to join, may refer them to you because you're adding value through your content. You're not a used car salesman or a toxic recruiter that's constantly stuffing Guard down their throat. Be different, right? You don't have to be the best. You just have to be different. That's how you're going to separate yourself from the rest of the competition. And so you're using that method there through your schools. Let's say you have a BOCES or something like that, or like a gym or something like that in your AO. You're doing the same thing. When that's your prospecting digitally. When you're there wasting time outside of the maps waiting for your applicant, right? Or you're at the office and you don't have anything tactically to do at that, tactically or technically at that time, you could pull out your phone and do some prospecting that way, right? There's always a time in the day that you can prospect online and make your time more productive, rather than just sitting there randomly scrolling through Facebook feed or what have you, or Instagram feed, looking at nonsense or TikTok videos. Like, make your time impactful during the day. You could do your personal scrolling and aimless social media content absorption in the evenings or early mornings before you start work, right? But during the day, that's the hardest part, is staying off of it for personal reasons and using social to your maximum efforts.
Well, that's some good stuff there. I really do appreciate your time. I think there's some stuff that recruiters can grab onto there. And if they don't know you, you're kind of easy to find. I think a lot of people know you, and there's definitely some benefit from just grabbing on and looking at what someone else is being successful on, because you don't have it copyrighted. They can steal it and run with it in their way. So I appreciate your time, and I know recruiters are going to benefit from this and keep on doing the awesome stuff you're doing.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
You bet. You have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.